cross product. As a recap, ano ang dot product? Ang dot product, ang result is a scalar. For a cross product, the result is a vector. So, usually, kani ang formula. A cross B is equal to A sub 2 B sub 3 minus A sub 3. It's a vector, no? Minus A sub, A sub 2 B sub 3 minus A sub 3 B sub 2, comma. The next component is A sub 3 B sub 1 minus A sub 1 B sub 3, comma. And the last component is A sub 1 B sub 2 minus A sub 2 B sub 1. That's your A cross B. But it's very difficult to memorize. So what are we going to do? We're going to come up with the mnemonic device on how to solve for your A cross B. So the notation for the determinant is as follows. A cross B is equal to the determinant of, you have ijk, A sub 1, A sub 2, A sub 3, B sub 1, B sub 2, B sub 3. So meaning to say, if we try to make use of the formula for the cross product, it is equal to, you take the determinant of A sub 2, A sub 3, B sub 2, B sub 3 times I minus, this is always a minus, A sub 1, B sub 1, A sub 3, B sub 3, determinant of that, J, plus A sub 1, B sub 1, A sub 2, B sub 2, determinant of that, K. Where your determinant is computed as AD, so the product there, then the minus the product of BC. Now, there is another way you make use of your basket rule. Some of you probably make use of that kasi ang determinants is a topic discussed in MAT070 as well as, ang MAT070 kasi wala na yun sa college, pero it was in algebra and trigonometry before. But I believe that is already discussed, determinant is already discussed sa high school, no? Either nasa senior high or sa junior high ba? Sa senior high daw discussed. Okay, so let's take a look at the following example. A cross B. Let's compute for A cross B, where A is equal to 2, 1, negative 1, and B equals negative 3, 4, 1. Again, what is your B? Ang B, I will leave that one to you. May answer naman dito, B cross A. It is negative 5i, negative j, negative 11k. You try to do that at home. So the other one is what we call the basket rule. So it is also solved here, making use. I'm not very fond with the basket rule, but if you are familiar with this one and you already solve things like this during high school, making use of the basket rule, then you can still apply. So you can, the same answer, you will get the same answer, 5i plus j plus 11k, or negative 5i minus j minus 11k. Notice, so did you notice, if you take a look at this one, this is the opposite direction. So your A cross B and your B cross A are two different things. So A cross B and B cross B A are not the same vectors, because this one has 5i plus j plus 11k. In fact, it is actually the vector which is of opposite direction. Now, there is also geometric interpretation of your cross product. If you have a geometric interpretation for your dot product, the magnitude of the cross product of A and B is equal to the magnitude of A times the magnitude of B times sine theta. So, ang dot product ay cosine theta, di ba? Pero pag sa cross product, you have magnitude of A times magnitude of B sine theta. So it's denoted by the following figure. A cross B is at 1. So meaning to say, if you have two vectors, then when you take the cross product, then the result is actually a perpendicular vector. So plane is defined. We know that if you have a plane, then it is defined making use of 3 points in the plane. So that if you have point 1, 0, 0. Remember, these are points. These are not vectors anymore, no? More points lang yan. Q, 1, 1, 1, and 2, negative 1, 3. And you're asked to find the vector that is orthogonal to this plane. Then, what are we going to do? You take the cross product of two vectors. If we could find two vectors in the plane that took the cross product, then the cross product would be orthogonal to these two vectors. Also, since these two vectors are in the plane, both the vectors are in the plane, the cross product will also be orthogonal to the plane. Let's take a look at that one. So PQ is the vector with terminal point at Q and initial point at P. So when you solve for it, remember this, our P earlier was, anong value ng P natin? Let's see. P natin was 1, 0, 0. So 1, 0, 0, and Q is 1, 1, 1. So take a look at 1, 1, 0, 0, and 1, 1, 1. So ang P natin is the point 1, 0, 0. And ang Q natin was the point 1, and Q kanina. Q is 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1. Parenthesis lang yan kasi mga points yan sila. Yan. So if you PQ will now be 1 minus 1, 1 minus 0, and 1 minus 0. Okay. So similarly, your PR will now be, RR is supposed to be equal to 2, 2, negative 1, 3. So your PR will be the following. So R is, yan, ito yung R. 2, negative 1, 3. Correct. R is 2, negative 1, 3. Ano kasi yung pen? Wala. 2, negative 1, 3. So your PR will now be, this is a vector na. Vector na yan. That's 2 minus 1, negative 1 minus 0, and 3 minus 0. So vector and result. So when you take the cross product of these vectors, this will be orthogonal. So PQ cross PR. What's your PQ plus PR? The result is 4I plus J minus K. Again, you try to verify this, making use of the, try to verify that one result. So try to verify this. Okay. Para makapractice kayo niyan. So A cross B is equal to 0, magnitude by groups. B equal to 0. A cross B equal to the 0 vector. So it won't be orthogonal to the original vector since we have actually your 0 vector. So these are some facts that you need to recall. That is, if the vector A cross the vector B is equal to the 0 vector, then the vector A and vector B will actually be parallel vectors. Also, if A, the cross product between vector A and vector B is not equal to the 0 vector, then the cross product between the A vector and B vector is orthogonal to both these. Both orthogonal means to say perpendicular to both vectors A and B. Then next, ito. There's some nice properties about your cross product. This is a property which says that if you have three vectors and you have C as a number, then the cross product of the vector U and V is the negative. Remember the first example that we have about cross product? So if you have U cross V, then it's the same as the negative of V cross U. U cross V plus the vector W, you can distribute your U vector. If you have CU cross V, then you can actually take the scalar value with the second vector here, multiply it, and then you take the cross product. It's the same. If you have that product, V cross W, then that is the same as U cross V. Take a look at U cross V dot W. And this one, U dot V cross W, is the determinant of the term. So those are the properties. Another quantity that we can derive from the cross product is the area. The area of the parallelogram, which is supposed to be for a two-dimensional front of this object, is given by the following. It's the magnitude of the cross product between vector A, so vector A, and vector B. And the volume of the parallel pipe is given by A dot. It's the absolute value of A dot B cross. Remember that this is the dot product result is a, recall. This one, the result is a scalar. So the volume is actually this quantity. So the reason why the absolute value bar is given is because volume cannot be of negative value. The first example here is you're asked to determine if the three vectors lie in the same plane or not. So how do we do that? How do we determine? We can actually solve for following. That is, are you still with me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Second to the last naman ng discussion. So you compute for A dot B cross C. So A dot B cross C should give you the following. That is, yung B cross C muna, and then multiply it by your A. That product with A. So the result is 0. So the volume is 0. Meaning to say, pag walang volume, the flat lang siya. So they lie on the same plane. Okay. The volume is 0. So we end up with those quantities. And then, so you have to recall all of this